So this article comes from the New Statesman, and to be honest, I think he's got a very good point here. This is 11 reasons to be excited about the Christmas general election, and as he says here, if you aren't excited, then you're being a complete Grinch about it, because there are some very interesting things potentially coming out about it. So one, we can't go on like this. All year this country has been stuck because the current parliament has proved entirely incapable of voting for any plausible way forward on Brexit. Yes, a majority just short of voted for a Brexit deal. No, that doesn't count if the government then pulls the deal because it doesn't think it'll pass if it gives MPs enough time to scrutinise it, which is what a lot of MPs have said. When we start to scrutinise this deal, the worse and worse it seems. This deal, the Johnson deal, is not a good deal at all. And while while it's not been dealing with Brexit, it's not been dealing with the housing crisis, the social care crisis, the climate crisis, or any one of the other dozen crises that are happening in this country. This country's in a mess, and if this parliament can't clean it up, then we need a new one. Number two, even if we get the exact same result as 2017, it could still break the logjam. Because one of the things that's fueled the inaction is a widespread feeling among MPs that a rolling on the dice on an election would deliver a parliament more enabled to their own personal Brexit preference. If we have an election and it doesn't do that, then they could finally force our leaders to come up with another plan. Number three, the Tories might actually be in trouble. This Twitter thread from Oxford Brooks, Glenn O'Hara, brought me more joy than 1,000 heartwarming Christmas smoothies with a talking animal in them. Some highlights are Corbyn re-energised, Labour don't know, return home, votes against austerity. I have to say, he concludes, I don't give the Tories more than a 30 or 40% chance of holding on. God bless us everyone. Number four, an election probably means more Lib Dem MPs. Okay, we're all very angry with everything they did in the coalition, but at a time when authoritarianism is on the rise and we're looking down the barrel of a very hard Brexit, I quite want there to be a more socially liberal pro-Europeans in the Commons. And I agree with him, so do I. Number five, there's at least a chance that a winter elections end up being about the NHS crisis or the rise in rough sleeping. The public realm and the public services are in a terrible state, and we aren't spending enough time talking about it, let alone pressuring our leaders to fix it. An election campaign might be exactly what we need to fix that. Oh, and this is a good one. Number six, there is a quite serious chance that Duncan Smith will lose his seat. A lot of young lefty Londoners have ended up in the Chingford and Wolford Green recently because they can't afford Hackney or Wumsthrow anymore. I'm just old enough to remember Portillo losing his seat in 1997, seeing the intellectual giant that gave us the disastrous universal credit policy thrown out on his arse would be much sweeter. Number seven, it's at least possible Johnson will lose his seat. This is less likely, admittedly, but Outer London has been getting redder, and Labour think they'll win with a chance. And just imagine the joy of watching a Tory Prime Minister literally lose his seat. Imagine how good that would feel. Am I mad, or is it just getting hot in here? And eight, while we're at it, if he loses, Boris Johnson will go down in history as the shortest-lived Prime Minister ever, literally except for the one who died in office. And let's face it, we're never going to stop laughing at that. Number nine, there's too much to learn. What does a December election mean for turnout? Who will benefit or who will hurt the most? How will a four-way split in the vote play out in a first-past-the-post system? Will literally anyone at all vote for Change UK? The increase in human knowledge alone makes this worth doing. Number 10, elections are just really fun, and I agree with him on this one. Elections are fun. The sense of watching history in the making, the polls, the scandals, the random members of the public who briefly become the most popular meme in Britain. If you can't get excited about that, then what on earth are you doing? Number 11, we might be free from this terrible government, or we might not. The Tories might win, they might win big. But there is a decent chance that after nearly 10 years, the worst, cruelest, and most incompetent government in decades might finally be about to lose power. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is certainly worth getting excited about.